So guys, this is a first for me. I'm sitting on a boat made of plastic bottles. Now, plastic is a major problem in our oceans, and we're meeting with some crusaders who want everyone to know about it.
So we just came across another windrow.
Meet Anna Cummins and Marcus Erickson. These two marine researchers are sailing the world's oceans, but they're not looking for treasure, they're looking for trash.
We're chasing junk in the water.
We've been seeing tons of bottle caps, shotgun shell, a boot.
This is exactly the kind of stuff these guys don't like to see, and why they're researchers for the non-profit Algalita Marine Research Foundation.
The mission of the Algalita Foundation is research and education. So we go to the Pacific and we study what's out there, and we come back and we tell the world.
This is the North Pacific Garbage Patch, where trash collects in the middle of the ocean. But it's not the only so-called gyre out there.
This is 45 minutes of scooping through another windrow in the middle of the Sargasso Sea. I think we found the Atlantic garbage patch.
Eric and Anna are studying all of them through their project, 5 Gyres.
Now look at this plastic bottle. Now we find these all around the North Atlantic gyre, bits of plastics chewed on by marine life. I wish the rest of the world could see this, to see that the human footprint is everywhere on the planet. Everywhere you go, from North Pole, South Pole, in the middle of every ocean, you will see the human footprint.
I was absolutely shocked when our first couple trawls came in. We collected now in the North Pacific Ocean, the North Atlantic Ocean, and the Indian Ocean. We've collected over 100 trawls, and every single one of them had plastic in it.
Here's the problem with plastic.
Plastic is a petroleum product. It's non-biodegradable. It was designed to last forever, but we're now finding that that's coming back to haunt us in ways people never predicted. It won't break down, but it will photodegrade. So the sunlight and the wave action will break it into these tiny, small pieces that are now becoming a huge problem because animals eat it. Animals get entangled in it. We're now finding it winds up in the food chain, and it's having devastating impacts on our marine ecosystems.
You got a fish? Yeah. So we just pulled out this plastic bucket, and we found a triggerfish inside that's so big that it looks like it can't get out.
But fortunately for this guy, Anna and Marcus saved the day.
There we go. Oh my God.
Still alive.
Back in the Algalita lab, Marcus and Anna show us that the situation's not much better in oceans across the globe.
What you're looking at here is 3 different samples from 3 oceans. This is a sample from the North Pacific gyre, this is the North Atlantic gyre, and this is the Indian Ocean.
When you sail across the oceans, you see that it's basically this, a confetti of small plastic fragments.
Here is 0.7 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that one. That is really small.
Ann Zellers is an Algalita researcher.
You can see the plastic in there floating.
Once samples come back to the lab, contents are sifted and then dumped into a petri dish. Then it goes under a microscope that can spot even the tiniest pieces. She sorts through it all and takes the plastic out, piece by piece.
It's cataloged by fragment, foam, pellet, line, or film. We use it as ammunition to help us argue the point that plastic needs to be made so it's biodegradable.
This is one of the most commonly found plastics.
Everything that's plastic starts out as a pellet. What makes one piece of plastic different from another piece of plastic is the additives that they put into these pellets.
And what you might not realize is that this plastic also carries chemicals with it.
Plastic in the ocean acts as a sponge, like a magnet for chemicals like PCBs, pesticides, oil drops from our car, toxic chemicals. These chemicals don't mix with water, but they stick to plastic like a sponge. We know that fish are eating these plastic particles. We know bigger fish eat lots of those little fish, and we eat those bigger fish. So the question is now, what's getting into our sushi? What's winding up in our bodies?
Concerned about the impact to our food chain, Anna's even been tested to see what chemicals might be present in her body.
We looked into my body and we found that I have trace levels in my blood of PCBs, DDT, flame retardants, and PFCs. And these are all chemicals that are linked to reproductive disorders and birth defects and miscarriages and obesity and all kinds of issues.
While the link between plastic, chemicals, and our food chain isn't firmly established, they're working on it.
These are gyre samples from around the world. These are the Atlantic, there are some from the Pacific.
And they've got a lot of material to keep them busy. Finding out just how much of this stuff fish are eating is another piece of the puzzle they're trying to solve.
With these fish, we're going to look in their stomachs and see if they've ingested plastic. Then the next step is to look into the tissues of these fish and find out, is there a link between the number of plastic particles they've eaten and the chemicals in their tissue?
And we're not just talking fish. Birds are being impacted too.
So now what are we looking at here?
Well, now that you've touched it, we can tell you that this is a bird barf from a Laysan albatross. But don't worry, it's been sterilized and cleaned, because when that first comes out of a bird's stomach, it's the foulest thing you've ever smelled.
I'll bet. What they're consuming mostly is plastic, these plastic pieces. We've seen many lighters, even medical waste, syringes inside their bodies.
All this is not a pretty picture for our oceans and the life that rely on them to survive.
One study, 44% of seabird species either ingest or get entangled by plastic.
44%.
44% of seabird species.
The question is, what can we do to turn the tide?
Our throwaway society has to change. We can't think that when you consume a material and you throw it away, that it disappears. There is no away and throw away. The material goes somewhere. We've designed this little milk jug ring here. I mean, there is no recycle plan for this. We've got to make it benign by design. We can't keep using petroleum plastic for throwaway products. There are materials that we can make bags and cup lids and forks and knives out of that degrade in the ocean if they get to the ocean.
It's a message they're taking to young people too. They visit about 50 to 60 schools every year.
Kids get it. They have a natural sense of justice. They love animals. They love clean beaches. They love the environment and nature.
That brings us to this boat, built with the help of some high school students.
So this is the Kola kayak. Tell me about this boat.
So this boat was built by the students of the Environmental Charter High School. We work with several schools to do different public projects, including boat building.
It's made out of 170 plastic bottles. Plastic bags were used to make the rope.
Well, this is going to let people know that this is where ocean trash comes from. It begins here on land, washes out to the ocean, so solutions are here, not there.
Because out there, the damage is already done.
You want to take out for a little spin?
Let's take it for a spin.
The big message here?
The planet cares for us. It gives us air, food, and water that we need to survive. We have to care for those systems. If we don't, we are going to suffer. How was that?
That was awesome. Thank you.